up a little. Here we go. Sarah, I usually ask you when I go back to the mat just to check my sound. How am I? You can hear me? All good, Sarah? Great. Thank you so much. Have a lovely time, everybody. So if we start sitting together, I'm sitting cross legs, but if that's not comfy for you, you could sit on your haunches, or you could equally just meet me right now on a chair. When you feel ready, close eyes.
Sorry, Kat, I do apologise. Are you sure your voice is coming through the earpiece or through the laptop?
Good check.
Good check.
There it is, yes.
This is why I ask you every time. Thank you so much. Imagine that. I sent the recording to YouTube and you couldn't see me or hear me. Actually, you could see me but not hear me. Devastating. Here we go.
Good.
Much appreciated. Okay. Retake, reset. Close eyes when you're ready. And just have a little beat to yourself. Now bring your attention into the tippy back point of the crown of the head and feel like someone's come along and given you a little tug up, encouraging you to sit a little taller. I don't know about you, but that's made me lengthen the back of my neck, drop my chin down just a little. It's encouraged me to soften my ribs so that I'm not arching my middle back. And now I can feel my front abdominal line a little more. I'm particularly aware of the space between my sternum and my pubic bone and my pubic bone and my sternum. So it feels like I've got a seam. And I'm just gently, as I'm noticing my breath, becoming aware of my posture in this sitting position. Tuning into my weight placement, so coming down into the sit bone area in the pelvis and encouraging myself to lift up off those footstools being my sit bones. That's really tricky for me because I like to pitch forward as soon as I think about lifting off the sit bone. So if you're like me, just be conscious of that. So we're aiming to place our weight directly over the top of the center of the pelvis. Now let's have a little pelvic floor moment together. So take your thoughts to the 4 points of the pelvis, the 2 sit bones, the tailbone, and the pubic bone. And if it helps you, because it definitely helps me, so you might try it out for size, I'm going to join my hands together a little like the shape of the pelvis. So I've got my thumbs or my fingertips together, and when I look into that space, it's very similar to what the pelvic floor looks like. So the consciousness through that area, I'm now going to try and close the tailbone to the pubic bone. I can match that with my hands, my fingers. And then I'm going to gently let that space go without any bearing down or pushing. I'm going to try that line again. And I feel the tailbone pull towards the pubic bone and the pubic bone pull towards the tailbone. I want to use my pelvic floor muscles to do that. So we're working on the outer group of muscles that form the pelvic floor at the minute. Now I'm going to try and close the distance between my 2 sit bones. Now I'm going to try and close all 4 points together. So I'm going to have to shift my fingers a little so I get a sense of wrapping it in to the center with all 4 points. Pause there. See if you can feel the narrowing between the 2 sit bones and the tailbone and the pubic bone. You're holding those 4 points together using your pelvic floor. Gently let it go. Just feels like it opens and spreads. We're thinking micro movement at this point. Let's try that one more time. All 4 points. You'll feel tension through that region. You'll feel the tissue working, the muscles working. Now we're going to try and bring our awareness into the 3 openings of the pelvic floor. Can you try close the spaces around all 3? And can you try lifting using your pelvic floor? Now very gently let all 3 go without pushing. And then let the distance between your 2 sit bones, your tailbone and your pubic bone spread and open. Tricky, huh? Let's try one more time. Close all 4 points first. And it doesn't matter if you go one opening at a time, which is what I have to do just to sense them. And then I try and keep the lift. And then really gently let all 3 go. Good. Now bring your hands around to the rib cage for breathing. Breathing in, counting to 5. And breathe out for 5. One more like this. Hand chest, actually 2 hands just underneath the collarbones. Breathe in for 5. You feel the air underneath your fingertips. Hands onto sternum. Should feel sternum swing forward, out and up as you breathe in. And then you should feel sternum swing inwards. One more time. Hands to the back of ribs. Should feel posterior movement. Hands to the belly. Should feel anterior movement. Should feel it fill. And now exhale. Two more practices. I don't know about you, this is my hardest one. Now hold it at the end of your exhale. Now we start some little abdominal pumps. So as you breathe out, you're going to pull the tummy in. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Fun, huh? Really great exercise for strengthening your transverse abdominis and just building tone through that area. We try one more set. So we're in for 10. Here we go. Take a breath in and pump. Two and 1. Hold it. Now take a breath in and fill. Now take your long, slow exhale. And as you take your long, slow exhale, try and feel your abdominals wrap. So you're coming around this way. So it feels like a corset and you're deepening at the same time. Now hold it there. Gently breathe in. You're going to feel the corset, but really minimally. Now you're going to try for a tighter corset. Feel the corset gently, but only minimally. And now go for a tighter corset. You'll need to sit a little taller each time. And now grow. As you tighten your corset, those strings are coming right in through the front. The cords are tightening and you're holding it. 2 more sets. Breathe in and feel the corset, but really control it. And now get rid of all the air and grow and pull the strings in on your corset. 1 more. Breathe in, feel the corset. And breathe out. Keep breathing. Minimal feel on your breath in. This time visualize a waistcoat. So as you exhale, on a perfectly measured waistcoat, you and I wouldn't want to see your white shirt underneath those eyelet holes. So as you breathe in, careful not to show your white shirt. Remember those eyelet holes, those buttons go straight through that center line seam. They go all the way down to your pubic bone and up as high as your sternum. 2 more practices. Careful, don't show us your crispy white shirt. And now pull yourself in and away from the vest, all 4 sides. Grow a little taller. 1 more practice. Rest. Good. Let's try that out for sides. So let's lie down. Let's flip our little ball between our legs. So we've got some nice imagery for pelvic floor we've worked on, but we've also got some really great imagery now. Whether you like the corset or the vest, you've got both to play with and explore as we go through the class now. So have a little moment in the supine position. Try 2 cycles thinking about your corset imagery. Add the little squeeze on the tool between your legs, whether it's your cushions or a ball. Now try 2 cycles with your vest. Now you're going to add your imprint. Now you're juggling lots of things as you imprint. So you want to bring awareness into feet, all the tippy toes connecting to the floor, the pads of the feet, the brightness underneath your arches, a sense of the feet being awake. Now sense your leg alignment, so the two knees heading up to your ceiling, aligning the feet with the whole leg. A feeling of falling down into the hip with the weight of your thighs, so a sense of sucking the leg into the hip joint. So the legs are active. You feel the tone warming up in your hamstrings. And that comes from just a little push off the feet and a little lift underneath the arches. And the toes feeling like they're pressing into the floor. Meanwhile, you're continuing to explore your corset imagery. A sense of length through your spinal column. So each time we imprint, we feel like we get a little longer. Tippy back point of the crown of the head escaping back. Feel the flow of the spine. The rest through the middle back, releasing the unnecessary tension, balancing curves. Now we're going to play with a little hike. So on your next exhale, your preparation is to feel your corset first, and then really gently ride your right hip up towards your right armpit. Really steadily and slowly, mindful movement, and just to slowly ride it back towards home base. Breathe first. Feel the wrap through your corset, and then really gently ride the pelvis up towards your left armpit. Feel the right pelvis reaching down towards your right heel. And then really slowly make your way back to neutral, to your neutral zone. Reset each time so you feel the length of your spine before you take off. Now bring your awareness into your hands, your two outstretched arms and your shoulders, your widening collarbone, your upper torso. So as you take your deep exhale for your corset wrap, remember you want to let the air out of the chest. You want to feel like you're involved in the alignment of the shoulders. You want to use the palms pushing down into the floor, 10 fingers fully outstretched. So that contact you're making with the floor with your hand, that'll send a message up through your long arm into your shoulder. So you become more aware of your alignment up there. And likely for most of us, you'll have to open and release the tension in your pecs. Coming back to neutral, to home base, to pause. Now visualize your vest. So we use a different imagery. See the buttons, see the eyelet holes. You're going to do a little pelvic clock. So you're going to rock the pelvis back into your imprint, and let's go to the right. Let's go clockwise. Imagine the 12 o'clock is underneath your belly button. So see the numbers on the clock, and you're going to roll around like you're pushing a marble. It's going to land on 1, then 2, then 3. So suddenly now your weight is on the right pelvis more. You're a little lighter on left. And then you keep moving the marble nice and slowly. We go around 4, 5, and 6. We're now in an anterior tilt. Careful you haven't pushed the abdominals up. Careful your middle back is still on the floor. Keep the marble moving. You're now coming around to the numbers on the other side of the clock face. Looking into the corners of that movement, of that circular motion. You're now landing on the left pelvis a little heavier, and right feels higher. Coming past that 9 o'clock line, massaging into the back of the waist on the left side, coming back to find your imprint on center. Slowly return to home base without pushing up on your abs, without arching your middle back off the floor. Tricky to do. So it's such a tiny circle movement and it needs a lot of control. Let's go the other way. Let's come into the imprint. Visualize your vest. Now try not to show us your crisp white shirt through your eyelet holes as we go left. Rolling around to 3 o'clock. Continue over to 6. We're in an anterior tilt, but careful of your vest. Rolling around to find the numbers on the right side. Pelvic rotation right. Think about your vest. Landing back in your imprint. And back at home base. Float your 2 arms up, right above your chest, palms facing your feet. Little protraction, retraction, just to inform the alignment in our shoulders and our printing. Float the 2 shoulder blades, let them glide off your back, around the side of your rib cage, and now glide them back on. Sense air underneath your scapula. Be mindful of any clicking or grinding. How smoothly can you glide the shoulder blades, the scapulas off your back, around the edges of your trunk ribs, and then just as gently glide them back on. Temptation is to push-pull through your arms. Be aware. Breathing in to glide the scapulas off, and breathing out to glide them back on. Now sense your corset. Can you apply your corset before you move your shoulder blades? One more time. Pause. Now sense the imagery of your vest. Let's use that imagery for arm openings. Turn palms to face each other. Using the vest imagery, go wide, breath in. And inspiring with the imagery, exhale, close. Let's do 4 more. Inhale to open. Exhale to close. sense the spine. Keep practicing. Do you feel aware of the whole spine as you're moving the arms? So you're sensing the movement in your neck, in your mid back, in your lower back, in your sacrum, in your pelvis, in your feet, in your legs, in your hips, in your ribs as the breath touches the edges, feels the shape of your rib cage, and then as you use your imagery to empty and shrink. Last practice. Palms turn to face your feet. One up, one down, switches. Breath in. Breathe out, hit center. Breath in. Long outstretched arms. Really feel their length right out past your fingertips. And then in opposition, feel the weight of the arm in the joint and the movement occurring, the rolling movement occurring in the joint. Think about your corset or your vest before you move, as you're moving. Last set. Arms head down by our side, pelvic curl. Have a beat. Touch base with breath, corset or vest. Rolling. Here we go. Keep rolling. Follow the raising pelvis, the moving pelvis. All the joints in the spine slip into line at the top of your pelvic curl. Look along the length of your spine when you meet the top. Slowly descend, traveling forward as you lay each segment. Awareness in the shoulders. Be careful of creating forward tension in the shoulders. Finally arriving down, resetting, touching base with all the body parts. Keep the feet alive, keep the hands alive, keep the arms, shoulders. Exhale. Four points of pelvic floor closing. Feel the lift through your pelvic floor muscles, particularly as you get to the top. Now stay, try and get a little longer. Try and send the pelvis a little closer towards your legs, your knees. Try and send your knees a little further over your feet. Try and feel the quads stretching at the top and the bites with the hamstrings underneath. Back of thigh. Squeeze the tool between your legs, inner thighs. Slowly descending. Keep reaching with the legs. Keep sending the pelvis forward as you gently lay your upper back, middle back without falling, lumbar back without falling, pelvis without pushing the abs up. Think about your vest. We don't want to see the white, crisp white shirt now. Careful. Last practice. Good, let's stay at the top. Let's try a little pelvic rotation. So we're going right hip up, left hip down. We're heading back to center. We're going to pull those corset strings on even more before we twist. We're going to try not to lose our alignment through our legs as we twist. So a little more squeeze on the tool between your legs. Tighten those corset strings before you rotate. Push the palms into the floor, fully out, stretch those arms, and use the upper torso to help us with our height. Exhale. Coming down now, deep breath out. Into our chest lift. Hands behind the head, elbows wide. 2 deep breaths to practice the corset with our hands here. Last one. Curl. Stay at the top. Practice your corset. One more. Slowly lie back. Let's switch the imagery. Let's try the vest. Try feeling your vest before you take off. 3 deep breaths. Careful, don't pop through your eyelet holes. Get a little longer. Try and shift yourself away from the edges of the vest. And gently lie back. Last one. Now try releasing your hands. Practice your vest. Slowly lie back. Take the tool out from between your legs and let's go single leg lift together. Have a little moment to reset, particularly in the upper torso. So conscious printing with your shoulder positioning. Feel the width across your collarbones without squeezing and hardening your armpit. Lengthen both arms. Tricky, right? Tempting to squeeze your armpit. Be careful of that. Next deep breath out, float the left leg. Let's go corset first. Inhale at the top. Exhale to send it down. Corset. Right leg. Let's switch the imagery. Let's go vest. Try and get a little longer. Last one, right leg. Let's go spine twist, feet down, knees, feet together. Have a little beat. Feel the length through your spine. Feel the wide collarbones, the open shoulders, your scapulars, your long arms. Remember, there's air between scapulars and ribs. Think soft armpit. Pelvis shifts us across, tipping right. Let's keep the head neutral for the minute. And let's wind it back to center. Let's put the vest on before we shift. Use that imagery to inspire the length as we come back. One more each side. Now let's float right leg tabletop. Corset before you move. Second leg up, think corset. Now let's go legs left. Head still in neutral. Pelvis right. Think vest. Trying to get a little longer each exhale. Pause on center. Next to exhale, think corset, and both legs move at the same time. Feet land back. I'm going to slip my ball in for hula. One hand on top of each other. We'll be mindful to switch hands halfway through. Exhale, give yourself a beat. Think about the vest. Curling up into your chest lift position. Exhale, let's rotate around the lengthened spine. And then on that rotation, let's try and reach past our left knee, up and over the top of left knee. Let's hold that height, come back to center. Let's lengthen in the centered position. Let's rotate around so we feel underside of left torso coming off the floor. Let's head over the top of our right knee. Let's try and hold that height and come back to center. Exhale for corset. Turning, turning, turning. And now coming over the top of the left knee with both fingertips down. Come back to center, switch hands. Exhale. In your trunk flex position, spine flex position, rotate and head over the top of right knee. Back to center. Last time. And lay down. Let's take the ball out from between our legs. Let's rock ourselves to sit up. And let's have just a little beat. As we've done quite a bit of work in that setting, let's just see if there's any change in the sitting position. So just close your eyes. How does that feel compared to the way we started? Do you feel any more tuned in posturally? Do you feel like you're getting closer now to sensing that line of gravity? So drop it in. Drop a spot right between your 4 points of your pelvis. Drop it on the floor and then look straight up through your column and out through the tippy point of your crown of your head. You and I haven't made that up. That's gravity. That line of gravity is a truth. So you and I bringing conscious awareness to that really helps us understand our alignment, our own individual alignment and center. Now try and find your center of gravity spot. Visualize a little red dot, which is a truth. It sits right back in front of your sacrum. Very low, huh? Can you sense that spot as a way of understanding weight placement, alignment? And you allow everything above to be informed once you sense it. Okay, let's go over on our tummies. I'm going to pop this between my legs because I get a bit lazy in my inner thighs. I need a reminder. And I like to tighten my quads instead of my inner thighs. So I find that really useful to place that between my ankles. We're going prone breathing. So head resting on hands. For the minute, I'm allowing my legs to rest on the floor. I'll cue you as soon as we add them in. So first 2 sets, legs resting. Conscious awareness of pelvis. Releasing the tension out of the quads so you can feel the pelvis. Here we go. Long, slow, steady breath in. And a long, slow, steady exhale. I'm trying to count to 8. Join me if you can. Keep practicing. Now just straighten your legs so knees pick up off the floor. Give that little tool between your ankles a cuddle so you feel inner thighs. Keep practicing. See if you can get to 8. Last practice. Okay, let's add it into our basic back extension. Arms back by your sides, palms up. Let's do a little prep. Let's lift and place the shoulders. So you pick them up off the floor, you widen the collarbones, you send the shoulder blades to the edges of your trunk, you lengthen your arms. You now raise the arms without letting the head of the shoulder fall towards the floor. Hold it there, fully outstretch those arms. Practice your breathing, your vest or your corset, whichever one is working best for you at the minute. Maybe explore both because they both probably have merit. Lower the arms down. Let's try that as a prep one more time. Pick up the head of the shoulder. It does a slight roll. Without hardening the armpit, straighten both arms and raise them up. Feel the breadth across your upper back, your collarbones. Keep practicing your breathing, long, slow, steady exhales. Corset. Now float the head. It's like an aeroplane taking off. Follow the wheels, follow the plane along the tarmac. And then you gradually ascend into your basic back extend position and you just stay. Long, slow, steady exhales, forcing all the air out of the lungs. Feel your legs, squeeze the ball or the cushions between. Projecting forward, landing the pelvis and grounding down, pushing off the tops of the feet, stretching your arms without hardening your armpits. Think forward to lower. Think forward to lower, just like a plane would as it's landing. Let's do 2 more. Let's start the arms at the beginning. Hands on the floor. Let's pick up the shoulder, place it and set it without hardening your armpits. Let's raise those two long outstretched arms without hardening your armpits. Okay, follow the plane. We're going forward. How far forward can you go before you pick your wheels up? You wouldn't want to let the luggage fall out as you pick the wheels up. We're going forward. Where to today? Maybe Hamilton Island. Keep going forward. Projecting us forward. Keep going forward as we lower. We're coming down. Careful, contain your luggage. And rest. Sitting back on your heels. Maybe take the tool off and have a little moment in child pose rest position. Okay, let's land on our side. Getting ready for side lift. Two legs extended and long, but I can see my tippy toes, so they're ever so slightly in front. I'm using my underneath arm, outstretched arm like a pillow. Here we go. Land the top arm, hand down on the floor. I'm going to use it to my advantage, so I'm going to push into the palm. Let's practice the corset wrap first. Feeling the length. Try and grow a little longer every time you practice the corset. Okay, let's float the legs. I did both legs. Sorry. I got so excited with my length and my corset. Both legs floated. Hopefully that happened to you. Good. As we're lowering down, think about the energy that we had in the basic back extension. Think the same as the feet lower. Now leave the bottom leg and float the top. And now lower it back down. Imagery before you kick off, either the corset or the vest, so you're really in touch with this feeling around your midriff area, around your pelvis line, through the center of your abdominals. So you're feeling two waists pull together. You're feeling your deep back draw towards your deep front draw towards your deep back. You're feeling the energy in those legs. So there's a sense of reaching out from the hip. You feel tone, hamstrings, outer thigh, inner thigh, front thigh. You feel the tone in both legs. Good. Try to go as high as you can with the top leg without moving your pelvis. So without hiking. Think how we started the class. So we've got that awareness now. Let's try one more. Good job. Let's spin over. Let's try the other hip. So it's fun, right? As soon as you apply enough tension to the correct areas, it's very easy to get the activation. So that idea of reaching those two legs out sets up opposition. So then because there's enough length, stretch, extension going that way through your hip, you can't help but not innervate glute med to raise the leg. Because we're putting enough tension around the corset, it's somewhat easier to stabilize lower back and pelvis now. Here we go. Exhale, both legs. Stay at the top, 3 cycles. Think vest. Can you send legs any further that way? Whether you're pointing your toes or flexing. Can you send your head further this way? touch down, leave the underneath leg, but keep it active. Energy out through the crown of the head as you raise. Energy out through the hip, the whole leg, through both legs, feet as you raise. Energy into your breathing, squeeze the lungs, get rid of all that dead air. And then remember, we said we fill the corset, but not so much that we burst through the front. Then we were encouraging the height. We said, how far can we go before we hip height? Before we arch the back, before we lose control through the core. One more. Good job. Spinning over, finishing on our all fours, setting up 2 hands, armpits underneath your shoulders, setting up 2 knees underneath your hip line. Deep breath out. Lift your weight out of your wrists, fully outstretch both arms. How much more can you lift your weight out of your wrists? Send the weight into the hand and palms. Push the floor away. Send the energy back up into your shoulder. Gliding, sliding, reaching, projecting forward. So hopefully you've got enough tension on the core now so you can feel the wrap, the corset imagery. Now try projecting forward as far as you can through the crown of the head, and in opposition, imagine somebody's got hold of your pelvis pulling you back. So it's a little tug of war. You'll have to increase tension on your core to really participate with the tug of war. Careful you haven't let your luggage fall. And rest. Sitting back onto your heels. And slowly sitting back up. Okay, well done everybody. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy your corset and your vest. See you later.